Alright, let's go. Welcome back into the Skooshi Sport podcast and your continuation of your NRL season team previews for 2026. Literally, 19 days away from the pre-season challenge. That must mean we're a good 6 weeks away, I think, from the first Vegas game. My goodness me, just like licking my lips and just getting goosebumps with excitement. I just cannot believe we are so freaking close. This is the worst time of year. Cricket season's pretty much done. Now we're in just that real patch where it's just like nothing's really happening. You're hearing reports. This guy's looking good. This guy's trading the house down. This guy's trading the house down. This guy's starting at left center. This guy might be starting in the halves. And you're like, what the hell's happening in preseason? So bloody good though. I just can't get enough of it. So bloody good. But this episode, we've got the Brisbane Broncos, our 2025 Premiers, breaking their 19-year drought, last premiership back in 2006. Oh my goodness, you look at this team at the end of the year, they fully deserve the premiership too. During the year, they were absolute rocky as. You just had no idea if they were looking good, looking bad, where their head was at, but Madge really pulled them in his first year, and they won a premiership out of it. And they're going to look very red hot heading into 2026, I think, as well. Before we get started, this is my 14th team I've done. We have 3 more to go after this. I've pretty much done South Sydney Rabbitohs releasing at the same time as this one here. 3 more to go, which is the Storm, Eels, and the... who am I forgetting? Oh my goodness gracious me. Storm, Eels, and Knights, I believe it is there. So 3 to go after this. Make sure you go check out the other 12 that I've done there if your team is featuring there that I didn't mention. Basically, with my season previews, do it all the same. Go through my ladder prediction for 2026. Do a little bit of a 2025 recap. How their season went. Look at their 2026 gains and losses. Have they gained any players that I think will make a difference to their side and their squad? And have they lost any players heading into this year that I think will make a difference to their premiership team from last year? Then we're going to have a look at their best 1 to 17 for the year that I think will start in round 1. And the rest of their squad as well. PSA is looking pretty loaded once again. Then we're going to have a little analysis of their draw as well heading to 2026. They do have a pretty tricky draw, but they are the Premiers, so you got to expect it. But before we get started, make sure you give the video a massive like. Podcast I follow as well. Subscribe to the channel, all at Skooshi Sports there, and my socials all in the bio there. Make sure you go check it out. But without further ado, let's get stuck into our 2025 Premiers, the Brisbane Broncos, with the new logo as well, which I'm kind of warming to. Wish it was yellow on their jerseys though, in all honesty, but I think the new logo spells a sign of, future history to come. I think obviously they had the previous logo for few decades there, which had their history within itself. They were, with the Lockies, your Shane Webkes, your Tony Carrolls, Darius Boyd, that sort of thing. A lot of history there. Now they've got a new logo, new history to be found. Plenty of loaded players in this team as well. But got them coming second this year. So I have done Penrith. Penrith are my minor premiers for this year. I've got Broncos coming in a tight second here. I just don't see how this team gets any worse. They finished 4th last year, and honestly, they had some falters during the year, but they really pulled through at the end of the year. I think they won the last 9 games, which is incredible. Like won 7 or 6 in a row without Ezra and Adam Reynolds, which is unbelievable. Reece Walsh is just like some of the best footy I've seen at the back end of a season ever. Probably the best grand final performance I've seen ever. And I just struggle to see, looking at this team on paper, and Madge Maguire, how does this team actually finish lower than what they did? And how does the defending Premiers actually falter in this season? But I've got them coming second. I think Penrith will be on a bit of a revenge season this year. Last year, we know they finished 4th, beating Canberra in the prelim, or the qualifying final, which in extra time, the absolute cracker, Benny Hunt getting the field goal there. Then they went and beat the 4-time Premiers Penrith Panthers in a comeback win at Suncorp there, winning that one, was it 16-14, and then beating the Storm in that grand final there. Absolute cracker grand final that was as well. But won 15 and lost 9. Honestly, during the season, they were doing such a slump. You just saw some efforts and you're like, what the bloody hell is going on? Points-wise, scored 684 this season, coming second to the Dolphins, so second best attack for the year. Dolphins were first. Defense-wise, they were 508, so defense was 8th for the season, which we don't usually see. So they were last in the top 8. Your Premiers, you probably see it in around that top 4. But the Broncos was a bit of an outlier in regards to defense. Usually defense wins premierships. This was a bit different where the Broncos are just so like, some of the comebacks they had, that Raiders game, that Panthers game, even the Storm game, all throughout the finals, they just had this ability to switch on, this flicker switch, and their attack would just go absolute gangbusters. Second best attack in the comp will probably go close to winning your premiership, and it did. Points difference of plus 172 all up. Coach, obviously we know Michael Maguire contracted till the end of 2027. I have no doubt he'll get an extension there as well. He's he's beaten Smash Aussie as the Kiwis coach. He's had success in the Super League. He's had success with South. He's had success as New South Wales coach, and now success as Broncos coach. Probably going to go down as one of the best coaches of all time that we've had. Let's have a look at their 2026 games, though. They haven't really made too many signings that will actually start in their 1-17 or actually really move the needle for me, but definitely interesting to talk about. First one here I've got is Grant Anderson. Now, Grant Anderson, I think when he came into the NRL, I think most of us could have probably agreed with me. He was absolutely nowhere. Grant Anderson was like, he was starting the wing. He'd come in off his wing. He was horrible, probably to say the least. He probably just only got his opportunity due to a lot of injuries or during that origin period. He was pretty rough. The improvements he's made as a player in the last 2 years has been extraordinary. I've got to give all credit to Grant Anderson. He has been unbelievable to watch in these last 2 years as a player and actually deserved a starting spot in that Storm side, which is bloody hard to do. Broncos have poached him, and Broncos team is that bloody good. He doesn't actually get a starting spot in this 1-17 for me at all. But a very, very good depth sign for the Broncos. Very, very good. I have a lot of belief in Grant Anderson now that he can do a job now when he is definitely called upon. Next one, I've got Tom Duffy here. So the big exchange during the offseason is Tom Duffy came in from the Cowboys on a 1-year contract, which has pushed Kobe Black out the door. Kobe Black was going to be the next Broncos 7 after Adam Reynolds retires, which most likely this may be his last year. We're not quite sure. And, Tom Duffy didn't have too much success there at the Cowboys. I'm very surprised that they signed him and pushed Black out the door. I thought Black could easily be the next guy on the list for them, but looks like Tom Duffy will be. And then this guy from the Dolphins, this guy's going to be awesome. I don't think he gets an opportunity straight away, but hopefully he does during the season. That is Albert Tawa, or Tafa, so I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. He is going to be unbelievable. Young little forward, young big forward, in sort of second role coming through the comp. He's going to be unbelievable for the Broncos when he does get his opportunity. If we have a look at their 2026 losses, there's obviously quite a few losses. Again, not too many that are actually moving the needle for me here. First one I've got is Fletcher Baker heading off down to the Bulldogs. Didn't really make the starting side near the back end of the year. Had his games in the NRL. Kobe Black that we just spoke about heading down to the Raiders. Selwyn Cobbo heading off to the Dolphins. Now, Selwyn Cobbo, a guy that was injured in that Storm game, I believe, with 6 or 7 weeks ago. We know what the talent of Selwyn Cobbo has, but if you look at how the Broncos fare now, winning a premiership with Karapani there on that wing, Marin there on the other wing there as well, I think they're going to be fine. I get it. He's a loss for the Broncos as a depth signing, but you can't be having Cobbo on active as a player, but not there in your team. He's good enough to be in the 17, in a 13, starting on the wing or a centre anywhere in the comp. Just doesn't quite fit into the Broncos, which is fine. Kobe Headington, a guy who's coming off the bench, really good sort of handy little lock replacement to have. He's down to Manly. Again, not a guy that's, I think, going to be a huge loss when you got guys like Ben Tolte coming through. You got Jack Kosefsky there as well. You got Xavier Willison. I think they'll be fine with that. Kobe. You got Israel Leota going off to Rugby Union. You got Jock Madden, the replacement for Adam Reynolds. He was there. He's off the West Tigers. Again, not wasn't even the replacement for Reynolds because they could put Hunt at 7. They could put Billy Walters there at 9. Tyson Smoothie, he's off to the Super League. Again, a bench player for Broncos there. So not really any losses there that are actually going to move the needle downwards too much for me in the Broncos there. Got a few guys off contract. Big one's going to be Payne Haas. Sounds like he will go around again for the Broncos, which is huge. Hopefully he stays in rugby league, which would just be massive for the comp. I think he is such an integral part of this team. He is the best forward in the comp, and I don't think it is close. But that is the 2026 gains and losses. Now let's have a look at their best 1-17, because it's looking very similar to how the grand final looked. They don't think there's any changes there, just looking at the team. Not that I can really pick. And then the rest of the squad is freaking deep, as we spoke about. A lot of these positions, I don't think there's a lot of competition. I think these guys deserve to all be starting or in that bench role. I don't think there's any should you be there, should you not be? Particularly at 1-13, I think it's pretty much locked and loaded, ready to go. Your fullback, a guy people are talking about for Dally M this year, Reece Walsh. My goodness me, Clive Churchill medalist 2025, one of the all-time performances in the grand final scene. Pretty much ripped it apart. Game 1 of the Ashes was pretty quiet for the rest of the series there. Didn't have to really do too much though, but say less about Reece Walsh. So it was a pretty heartbreaking moment as a Warriors fan when he did leave the Warriors, but understandable why he went back to Brisbane. Brisbane is where he belongs. I just cannot see him playing anywhere else. I think he's going to be a Brisbane Bronco for life now. Paying whatever money you need to keep him there. I think he'll take unders if he knows he's going to be winning premierships like he did last year. The plumber, the toilet bowl drinker, he is just unbelievable the talent he is. He literally put the Broncos team on his back in that final series last year. Copped the sin bin against the Raiders in that first final, and he was probably still player of the match for me there. He's just unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. Queensland fullback, Australian fullback. I just can't see him getting worse. I can only see him getting better. Looks like he's put on some muscle in the off-season as well. Looking at your wingers, grand final wingers as well. You got Karapani there on your left wing, and then you got Dean Mariner there on your right wing. Two very good wingers now. Very good to see Karapani get his opportunity there at the Broncos coming from South. I heard a lot about him at South. He is an up-and-coming talent and just didn't quite get his opportunity. Get his opportunity there at the Broncos, and he's taking it with two hands. He is unbelievable talent. Unbelievable talent. Dean Mariner, say less. Speeds up. Bloody good finisher. He is an absolute weapon there. In your centers, oh my goodness gracious me. Again, not changing from the grand final. You got Shibasaki in your left center, and then you got Katoni Stagg in your right center. Let's start with Shibasaki, because if there was a most improved award for a player in 2025, or just in general in the NRL, he would take it 100 times out of 100. If anyone voted for him not to get most improved player, they are absolutely blind and have been watching rugby union or AFL. The resurgence of Gahamat Shibasaki. Oh my goodness gracious me. He has been everywhere. He's been at the Knights. He's been at the Souths. He's been at Cowboys, which is where he came from before Broncos. And kind of like begged Madge for a train and trial sort of opportunity. I remember I've spoken to about this personally at the end of 2024. A lot of players turn up. You just sort of see who's looking fit, who's looking not. Got a train and trial opportunity with the Broncos. Then I remember speaking to him. He came back after Christmas. He trained all through Christmas period. Didn't blow it out at all. Didn't let go. Took care of his body. Came back fit and firing to start the preseason after Christmas there. And Madge, a guy that was coming into his first year of the Broncos, gave a lot of guys the opportunity to, showcase how good they looked. And Shibasaki looked unreal. I remember these rumors in February of him getting a starting role at center, and I just remember thinking, nah, mate, this is all false news. We're going to get to round 1. Selwyn Cobbo's going to get named there. Dean Mariner's going to get named there. We're not going to see Shibasaki there, a guy that has not played NRL for a very long time. Round 1 comes, gets named there at left center. Holy dooly, scores a try against the Roosters in round 1, had an assist as well, I remember. Ends up playing Origin and ends up representing Australia as the starting left center. Goes from a train and trial in December 2024 to representing his country in a starting role in October. It was unbelievable. The improvement, the maturity, the resurgence, the footy that we saw from Shibasaki, it was absolute all deserved. He was unbelievable last year. So good to see. I get it. He had his little mishap, had a few drinks, whatever. I'm sure he's going to learn from that, no doubt. But unbelievable Shibasaki. Cannot credit the guy enough. He was an absolute gentleman to speak to as well when I did meet him. The other centre, say less. The other starting centre for Australia, that was Tony Staggs there. We know what we're going to get from Staggs. What I want to see more from Staggs is him with the ball in his hands more. When he's got the ball in his hands, he is so destructive. He can push over anyone. He is unbelievable, Tony Staggs. In your halves there, pretty stock standard, same from the grand final last year. Ezra Mam there in your 6th role. Look, had his mishap at the start of last year. It is what it is. He's had his suspension. He's come back. He's looking strong. Most people have forgotten about it now. He will be locked and loaded straight into that 6th role. Adam Reynolds there in your halfback goes without saying. Always generally see Adam Reynolds cop some sort of injury at some point of the year. Got injured in the grand final, obviously with that hamstring or calf, I believe it was. Had that calf injury was 6 weeks ago against the Storm. Him and Ezra went down. Then the ability for Billy Walters and Ben Hunt to step up in that situation was unbelievable. But Adam Reynolds starting 7, goal kicker, captain, say less about him. In your forward roles, obviously you've got Payne Haas there, without a doubt, a guy that can literally go 80 minutes, which is just crazy to think about in the modern generation of NRL. Say less about Payne Haas. Represents Samoa now, plays Origin for New South Wales, Dalian Forward of the Year now and for the next bajillion years as well. I really hope he doesn't go to rugby union. Corey Jensen there in your other prop role there as well. Doesn't change from the grand final last year. Really good, solid guy. In your hooker role there, so Billy Walters does still have an ACL injury. I don't know when quite he's going to be back. I'd say like around 8, 9 or 10, I believe I've read. So Ben Hunt gets his starting role in the hooker there. Works really well. Like, you've got Reece Walsh, Ezra Mann, Reynolds, and Ben Hunt there. All guys that have been pretty close to representing their state in Origin. That is an elite spine, top 5 spine going there in the comp. When Billy Walters comes back, maybe you can look at a role where Ben Hunt starts at 9, Billy Walters comes off the bench, or vice versa. There's probably a chance like Ezra Adam Reynolds does get injured during the year. It just seems to happen. And you've got one of the best halfbacks, I think, still to come and fill in that void if need be. In your second row role, right edge, Jordan Ricky now for about the 4th or 5th year running in that starting role. Had a bit of a quiet year 2024, but really stepped it up last year. I thought Jordan Ricky had a real couple good games. I'm a massive fan of Jordan Ricky. I've met him plenty of times. He is an absolute gentleman. I'm actually older than him, which is freaky to say because he's an absolute weapon. He is huge. He is handsome as well. Jordan Ricky gets his starting right edge role for the Broncos. Starting left role, going for Brendan Piakura there. So we did see Jack Krzyzewski start there on the left edge this time last year and round 1, which again was a big surprise. But I think Brendan Piakura now is finally mature, hopefully fit enough to get that starting role. Guy just needs to keep himself out of the way. Stop the high tackles, stop the get his head out of the way. If he can, he'll be really formidable. What I want to see from Piakura is not like a Liam Martin sort of style. I want to see tackles and I want to see hit-ups from Brendan Piakura as well. In your lock role, goes without saying, Paddy Carrigan, probably one of the best locks going around in the comp. Obviously when Kobe went off, Carrigan would go in the middle there for Corey Jensen. Will we see that this year? Maybe. You've got Ben Tolte there now, so I'm not sure. Maybe Carrigan stays in that lock role there now. All right, the interchange. So in the 14 role for the moment, obviously with Billy Walters still to come back, gone for Corey Pakes there. Corey Pakes, Blake Moser. Corey Pakes, Blake Moser. Blake Moser, Corey Pakes. I'm not quite sure. Blake Moser, man. We'll get to him in a little bit. I've got Corey Pakes there in that 14 role. Would not shock me if Moser is there at 14 at some stage in the season. In your 15 role, Xavier Willison. I think this is like a guaranteed bench spot for Willison. Almost in the starting role for me, actually. Xavier Willison, absolute 2-meter tall tank, 110 kegs. Fit as a fiddle, can run over anyone, can score tries if he wants to as well. Scored a try in the prelim against Penrith as well off the bench. Awesome impact bench forward, though, to have. Like, can compete with your Spencer Lennies, can compete with your Nathan Browns easily. Very, very good bench player to have. In your 16 role, spoke about him before, Jack Krzyzewski got the starting role on the left edge for the Broncos in round 1 last year. Unfortunately, broke his arm about halfway through last year, near the back end of last year, which was a shame, but Good to see the resurgence back of Jack Kovseshki in your 17 role. This guy's come out of nowhere late last year. Ben Tolte was in the Storm sort of like development squad kind of thing midway during the year. Gets like a train and trial contract with the Broncos to come up, play a bit of Q Cup. Couple injuries happen to the Broncos and he fits in, gets his like little bench spot there, one chance, and he just took it with two hands. Really fit, really strong in the upper body there, and just really looked good. Ended up playing the grand final for the Broncos, which is honestly, no, sorry, he didn't. He played the prelim, but ended up not playing the grand final. But I think he deserves that bench spot for mine. There's your 1 to 17. Now let's have a look at the rest of the squad, because as I said, it's looking pretty bloody strong as we know about. Jesse Arthur's there in the 18 role, a guy that was starting for the Broncos there on the left wing for the Broncos in round 1 last year. Then we saw like your Dean Mariners come back. We saw Karapani obviously fit into the team as well. Jesse Arthurs is a very, very good winger. The fact that he's not starting in his team just shows how good this 1 to 17 is for the Broncos. Very, 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 very handy replacement winger for the Broncos. You got Josh Rogers there, handy sort of replacement in the halves there. I would say, though, if there is an injury in the halves there, I'd say Ben Hunt would go there first, and then you got Billy Walters in there, and then you probably got, like I said, your Corey Pakes, your Blake Moses there in that 14 role there as well. You got Deloise Hoyter, again, handy replacement winger there, gets his odd game there. Tom Duffy, I don't know if we'll see Tom Duffy this year unless there's a lot of injuries. I think we'll see him next year, though, for sure. Billy Walters, I said, he's in my starting 1 to 17 when he is coming back from injury. Spoke about him before in the games. Grant Anderson, very handy backup replacement there. Jaden Hunt, again, a guy that's pretty handy, I guess, there. Albrecht Tafar, going to be very handy. If he gets his opportunity this year, watch out for sure. Ben Takura, he's in the top 30. Ben Takura played, was it last year or the year before, played a couple games for the Broncos. Looked awesome. I've heard from like guys like Carmichael Hunt, that sort of thing. He just didn't quite have the fitness. Hopefully he's improved on that fitness because he's over 2 meters tall, 110 kicks. He could be an absolute weapon if he does get fit. You got Hayes Perham there. Didn't really get his opportunity last year for the Broncos, but if he does, again, not the worst backup ever. And then your last one on that list for me is Blake Moser. Wouldn't shock me if they put Blake Moser in that 14 role for round 1 there. Blake Moser is a guy that the Broncos need to either start utilizing very, very soon, or he's going to go elsewhere very, very soon. Very, very talented, very fit. One of probably the better nines coming through with like your Owen Paddies and that kind of in that same realm. There's just so many talented guys on this Broncos team where you're not going to boot off a Ben Hunt at your starting 9 role or even a Billy Walters for him to start there unless he really does prove himself. I would love for Blake to prove himself, though. He's a very talented number 9 and hooker. But yeah, 2 spots there looks like on the top 30 still to fill as of literally yesterday or the weekend gone. There you go. That's the squad. How they're looking for the top 28 at the moment. The 1 to 17 looking stacked, pretty unchanged from the grand final, and the squad is looking very, very good as well. Let's have a look at their draw, because they have a pretty tough draw to start. Oh, not too bad of a draw to start with, excuse me. But as I said, the other premiers, it's going to be a little bit tricky. 3 of the first 4 games are home, though, which is definitely beneficial. They start with the Panthers. Bit of a revenge game for the Panthers, though. They've got the Eels in there, and they've got the Dolphins in there as well. Forget who that road game is in between there. In regards to the top 8 teams they played twice, they played the Doggies twice, Panthers, Roosters, Storm, and the Warriors. So they don't have to play the Raiders twice. They don't have to play the Sharkies and the Sharkies twice there. They played other 3 teams. Pretty obvious who the other 3 teams are going to play twice. Cowboys, Dolphins, and Titans. That's always going to be the same every year. Same with the Warriors every year as well. Same with the Broncos, I think. Same with the Storm every year as well. Look at the Cowboys, Dolphins, and Titans. Cowboys and Titans, they can easily beat twice. Dolphins is always a mix-up. Dolphins have actually started to get a little bit of an edge on them recently. But, again, very interesting. 1 5-day turnaround. Part of those teams that do have a 5-day turnaround heading into this year. They play the Warriors once, as I said. So that Warriors game is actually technically an away game for the Broncos, but it is at Magic Ground. So it's actually technically a home game. So they have, I think they play 14 games at Suncorp out of a possible 24, which is very advantageous. So 12 games at Suncorp at home, plus you got the Warriors for Magic Round, and then they play the Dolphins always at Suncorp as their road game as well. Only 10 games on the road for the Broncos in 2026. Their buys are pretty handy considering their team. They've got buys in round 12, round 16, and round 19. So round 12 is before Origin 1. Let's look at their team and see who will be out. So you got obviously Reece Walsh will be out. You got Shibasaki potentially Stags. I don't think so though. You got Payne Haas will obviously be out. Ben Hunt potentially. Patrick Carrigan will probably be out there as well. Potential up to 6 Origin players will be out of their team heading into that Origin period. They've got the bye before Origin 1, so it doesn't affect them. Just affects them if they do back up after that first Origin, which they probably will. And then they'll be affected in the games before Origin 2 and 3, but they do get the bye after Origin 2 and 3, which if I was to pick to have a bye after Origin, before or after Origin 2 and 3, I would pick after, so my players get that rest. So they'll just have to go those 2 games without the stars, but they're still going to have Ezra there most likely. They're still going to have Adam Reynolds there most likely. You can just stick Jesse Arthurs there at fullback or Karapani there. Still a very, very good team. Honestly, they should be able to still win despite all that. We spoke about the 2 teams in the top 8. They don't play twice with the Sharks and the Raiders. They do get to play the Sharkies at home in Brisbane, and they play the Raiders down in Canberra, which is, they won down there in the final, so why can't they do it again? As I said, 14 games at Suncorp, which is very advantageous, very low travel for them. They don't have to go to New Zealand, don't have to go to Vegas or anything. Not a lot of travel for the Broncos, just a few Sydney trips. You obviously had they've got a bus trip to the Gold Coast once. They've got a little trip up to Townsville once. They've just got and then some games in Sydney as well. So not too many travels to Sydney, a bus ride to the Gold Coast, a little fly up to North Queensland, and 14 games at home. So the draw, I spoke about being bad. It's honestly not that bad now that I look at it really there. No reason why this team can't finish minor premiers. Honestly, I just think Panthers will be just that little bit better heading into this year. But Broncos, can they go back to back? Definitely potential. It's so freaking hard to. But looking at this team, how do you not look at this team and go like, yeah, no, this team won't go back to back? You'd have to be an absolute madman to go against it, in my opinion. There, but Broncos looking very, very good for 2026 once again. That will do it for the season preview for the Brisbane Broncos in the Skooshi Sport podcast. Got the Broncos finished in second for the year, as I said. Did a little recap of the 2025 year. Obviously finished in the year as Premiers. Had their 2026 gains and losses. Who's going to affect them? And then their best 1 to 17 in their full squad, which is looking on paper, probably top 5 in the comp at the moment, in my opinion. And then the draw. Looks like there's some favorable spots for the Broncos heading into 2026. They are going to be the hunted, though. They are definitely going to be the hunted into 2026, no doubt about it. But that will do it for the season preview of the Broncos. Make sure you go check out the other 13 teams that I've done now. 3 more to go before preseason gets underway, baby. So bloody keen. Make sure you go check out the other videos on my channel. Make sure you give it a like and a subscribe to my channel. It literally takes 1.2 seconds to do it. But thank you so much for watching, guys. And cheers.